We are just a minute or two over the hour, so I think it makes sense to get started. My name is Ryan. I lead the offshore wind commercial team within Esgian Offshore Wind. I do see clients, many names that I recognize here that have logged in, and new names as well. First and foremost, thank you all for attending today. For those of you that do not know who Esgian is, we're headquartered in Oslo, Norway. We are a market intelligence and data analysis firm for the ocean industries. As a firm, we operate in three main verticals. That's offshore rigs, shipping, and offshore wind. My focus being 100% offshore wind. We speak on offshore wind today. Now, some of you know, each month we do host a short webinar that covers a current and relevant offshore wind topic. We do our best to keep these to 19 minutes, and we do that on purpose. We understand everyone's time is precious, and we want to provide you with the highest quality information in the shortest period of time. And if you haven't already, I do encourage you to follow Esgian Offshore Wind on LinkedIn. Sign up for our newsletter to be kept up to date on all future events, news, and our quarterly reports. And as some of you know, we recently released a free interactive global offshore wind map on our website. We're getting very, very positive reviews. So I highly encourage everyone to check out this free interactive map on our website. And within Esgian Offshore Wind, we offer an award-winning subscription-based digital platform that provides transparency and clarity into the global offshore wind market. Our clients are developers, companies within the supply chain, vessel operators, consultancies, and more. And we're primarily assisting our clients with business development, competitive analysis, and strategic planning with data in near real time. On average, we are updating our platform over 50 times per day. The reason I mention that, it shows you that it's data in as close to real time as possible. And for today's discussion, it's a really fun topic. We will review our offshore wind predictions that we made back in January of 24. We'll cover which ones we got correct, but we'll also cover where we missed the mark as well. And I do want to emphasize that all the information covered today has been sourced and analyzed from our wind analytics database. Today we have two colleagues joining me today. Ajay, he's our principal analyst here at Esgian Offshore Wind. And then we also have Hiro, our offshore wind analyst. With that being said, Ajay, why don't you take it away from here?
Thank you, Ryan. So, welcome to yet another session on Esgian's top 10 predictions for the offshore wind market. We are making this into quite a Christmas tradition. So in next year's invitation, we encourage you to wear a Christmas sweater and bring a gingerbread and molded wine with you. So, but now for the next 15-ish minutes or so, you can just lean back and relax while we will review our top 10 predictions for 2024 and see how we did. And as Hiro will show you very shortly, the first 8 predictions are the ones that we considered having a lower market impact, but also having a higher probability of taking place, while the 2 last predictions are the ones that we considered having a high impact on the market, but also a lower probability of taking place. And what we try to do in these top 10 predictions that we make is that we want to stay relevant and try to avoid obvious subjects such as the new administration in the US adding uncertainty to the US offshore wind market, or that China will be an important player in the offshore wind market. These are things that kind of are, we don't need to elaborate too much on because it's a bit too obvious. So we like to be a bit more specific, which also means that we are more prone to miss on some of our predictions. But at the same time, now in retrospect, with a 12-month delay, we can announce that our 2023 predictions largely came true, but it happened in 2024. So we're really good at forecasting or foreseeing the market, although we could, of course, improve on the timing. But on the other hand, in 1 year is nothing in the offshore wind world. So the timing tends to be a bit critical or kind of the most sensitive part when it comes to these predictions. So whether you hit or miss by half a year, etc. Anyway, so without further ado, I hand the word over to my colleague Hiro, who will guide you through our 2024 top 10 predictions for the offshore wind market.
Thank you, RJ. Yeah, I will give you an introduction on our top 10 picks. Of the 10 top picks, we will represent the picks in bold in depth, which is number 2, 3, 6, and 7. And additionally, we will provide a short introduction for 1, 4, 5, 8, 9, and 10. So just we can just start. The first prediction is heightened uncertainty from elections. Yes, politicians running for election in countries with an offshore wind market have become more negative and vocal about offshore wind, using it to some degree for their own political gain. This could have an impact in the coming years, but not for 2024. And then jumping over to the fourth pick, retail companies buying direct stakes in wind farms. We saw retailers buying stakes in wind farms in 2023, but it seemed more like a PR stunt than a trend likely to continue into 2024. And for our fifth pick, adjusting to phase buildup of floating projects. So changes in the floating segment of the industry have definitely occurred this year. However, widespread adjustments in large-scale floating projects, such as dividing project into phases, have not been a trend this year. The phased approach seen in South Korean projects has been in place from the start, and elsewhere developers have not changed their approach. Then going over to number 8, cautious start to harmonizing offshore wind carbon emissions estimation. 2024 was definitely the year for the harmonization of offshore wind carbon emissions. In September, the UK non-profit organization Carbon Trust launched a new guidance framework on measuring life cycle GHG emissions from offshore wind projects. This initiative was supported by many major offshore wind developers, and we anticipate this framework becoming the industry norm in the years to come. And our number 9 pick, cyber attack creates havoc in European energy markets. As uncertain times have been marked by sabotage and cyber attack on energy infrastructure, offshore wind appears to have been unaffected so far, making this prediction a miss for 2024. And our 10th pick was Italy finally improves permitting track, unblocking huge project pipeline. So one of our long shot predictions with low likelihood but high impact focused on Italy. We hope to see some improvement in the permitting track, although there has been positive news about individual project progress. We have yet to see any significant increase in speed of the permitting process. So it's a miss. And then in more in depth, we will go to the number 2 pick, possible renaissance of near-term US projects. So Ørsted impairments on its US portfolio, particularly the ocean wind projects, caused turmoil in both US and global offshore wind markets. Initially, the outlook for the US appeared grim, with project cancellation looming. While Ørsted halted Ocean Wind 1 and 2, it stayed committed to the US market. By early 2024, optimism returned as previously, and certain projects moved forward. Sunrise Wind reached FID, and improved offtake agreements emerged. Though delays persist, they are preferable to widespread cancellation. The US relies heavily on Europe's supply chain, and combined demand has strained European suppliers. Ørsted's setback and resulting delays temporarily eased supply chain pressure, but created financial challenges for suppliers, especially those expecting short-term demand. While smaller components may see temporary availability, suppliers of advanced components like turbines and foundations face ongoing challenges due to the long lead time needed for production. Foundation manufacturers, more flexible than turbine OEMs, can outsource production when cancellations free up capacity. However, delays generally push supply chain issues into the future rather than resolving them. This pick proved accurate, showing that while delays impacted immediate timelines, US offshore wind projects continue to advance. Supply chain challenges remain medium to long-term concerns, aligned with the evolving situation. Then going on to our next pick, number 3, Asian manufacturing growth engine. This pick reflects our view of the Asia Pacific region's ambition to become a pivotal in global offshore wind manufacturing. But how does the region measure up? While 2024 wasn't a standout year for contract volumes awarded to APIC manufacturers, notable developments over the past year have been crucial in strengthening its position. In South Korea, domestic focused contracts and some tied to Chinese and European projects marked significant activity. Early involvements in project development, supported by MOUs and supply chain agreements, is driving capacity building. South Korea's robust steel manufacturing, shipyards producing installation vessels, and emerging floating offshore wind infrastructure solidify its importance in the industry. Vietnam complements South Korea, leveraging its steel and shipyard capacity to become a major manufacturing hub. It has ramped up exports of offshore wind components, notably towers through CS Wind, while exploring jackets, suction buckets, and substations. Supported by industrial and political efforts, Vietnam's shipyards are also producing service operation vessels, better known as SOVs, enhancing its global footprint. China, their breadbasket of manufacturing, remains self-sufficient but is expanding globally, despite resistance from South Korea, the EU, and others. These pushbacks foster a more diverse and resilient supply chain. Other markets like Japan and Taiwan contribute but lack the scale to be a major exporter. Taiwan's shifting localization policies may benefit manufacturers in Vietnam and South Korea by opening market opportunities. This pick offers a long-term outlook rather than a yearly forecast, highlighting APEC's growing role in offshore wind manufacturing. Giving the word to you, Ajay, for the next pick.
Thank you, Hiro. So, at the end of last year, or more precisely January this year, we expected countries to adjust their national 2030 offshore wind targets, and 2035 would become kind of the new 2030 yardstick. And we also said that pushing the targets by 5 years wouldn't necessarily mean that the country would become more ambitious when it came to offshore wind deployment, but only that there would be a reflected delay in the target delivery. And this is an interesting one because our data show that an increasing amount of new capacity is being pushed beyond 2030 and into 2031 onwards. And the 2030 targets will most likely not be met in general terms. But despite that, the number of announcements around 2030 targets being pushed into 2035 have been actually quite limited. And this means that the 2030 targets are likely or unlikely to be met. It's just that it's not being communicated by the decision makers. And at some point, these decision makers will have to update the market and make 2035 the new 2030. But this is all about timing. So although it didn't happen in 2024, this eventually will take place. And then if we go to the last prediction that we want to make a deep dive into today, is that last year we also anticipated that developers would concentrate their project portfolios, focus their project developments to specific regions or to strategic competencies or priorities. And indeed, yes, 2024 was the year of trimming the fat, and even more than we actually could foresee. So if we start with most recent news, such as Ørsted's sell-off of the equity stakes in 4 wind farms to Brookfield in October, or the spin-off of a share of the Greater Changhua 4 project to Cathay Life Insurance this week, It's important to keep in mind that such transactions don't necessarily align with our prediction that we had for the year, the de-risking, but it more reflects Ørsted's long-standing strategy to free up cash by reducing the equity stake in projects that have already become operational or that are close to becoming operational. So it's important to kind of distinguish between those two de-risking or reshuffling of project portfolio approaches. But then if we look at other announcements over the course of the year so far in 2024, we see a clear trend that developers are focusing or concentrating their exposure to the offshore wind industry. So like I mentioned, Ørsted, in addition to the spin-offs that I just highlighted, Ørsted also decided to pull out from Norway, from Portugal, from Spain, and by that dramatically reducing its portfolio when it comes to new ventures to floating opportunities in these countries. And also Equinor has announced exit from both Portugal and Spain, and in addition they've also decided to exit Vietnam. And then also Shell has announced kind of a little bit, or that they're pulling away or reducing their exposure to the offshore wind industry by not involving any new offshore wind projects, but they will continue to focus on the existing projects it's got amongst others in the Netherlands. So that's kind of on what the corporate level, like corporate decisions. But what we also see, perhaps even more crystallizing even more, is that companies are, or developers are in general, becoming far more selective in the bidding in these rounds around Europe. So Denmark was the most recent example where there were no bids at all for the gigawatts that were put out in the market now, or this week, or late last week. And then you have Utsira Nord floating project in Norway, where you see developers pulling out almost on a weekly basis. And then you also had the IJmuiden Ver Alpha and Beta rounds in the Netherlands that only had 2 bidders each earlier this year, around summertime. So I guess the thing is that the companies that I mentioned, or basically any other company, are not protected from the realities of project economics. And all these countries, not countries, but companies are highlighting or citing high interest rates, massive capex requirements, and long lead times on the cash flow as the key factors why they're putting the brakes on. So I guess we can quite confidently say that this prediction was a bullseye from our side. And with that, back to you, Ryan, to wrap things up.
Excellent. No, thank you both, Ajay and Hero, for those that insightful analysis. If there are questions, we do encourage them. In the top of the screen, there's a Q&A section. Please type your questions there, and we'll get to them in a quick minute or two. While we're waiting for questions, I do have a few items that I would like to touch on. If you would like the full details of the January 2024 market predictions report, just send me an email directly. I'll send you the full report. We also have the QR codes that you see on the screen to sign up for our mailing list and follow us on LinkedIn if you haven't already. And I do, as I mentioned in the beginning, encourage to go to our website to check out our free interactive map. Let's see if there's any questions here. No questions now. If you do, please type them in there. I do hope you found today's discussion beneficial. We're already working on our 2025 predictions. January, our webinar and our topic will be the predictions for the upcoming year, and we're hard at work already on putting those predictions together. Hope you found today beneficial. Hope everyone has a great day, a festive holiday season, and as we say in Norway, god jul. See you next month. Take care, guys.